Hello Internet, this is the Too Complex video tutorial series. This video is about how to make sound effects. I'm going to get started in the sandbox directory in a new C++ file called sound.cpp. Inside sound.cpp I'm going to pound include sprite environment .h. I'm not going to be making any sprite graphics in this video, but sprite environment does some initialization required to make a sound. So, class sound environment publicly inherits from sprite environment. I'm going to leave the body empty for now, and down below make a main so that something compiles and runs. Int main empty parentheses return 0, and sound environment e, and then call e.mainLoop. That ought to be enough to get a window on the screen. Let's just make and run to make sure. Make sound /sound, and there's our window. Now to make a sound happen, we need two different object types. First is sound. I'm going to make a sound with a capital S, sound with a lowercase s. That represents the sound resource, the sound file, the sound buffer, if you will. And then the other object type you need is source. Source with a capital S, source with a lowercase s. And that represents where the sound is coming from. You can only play one sound on a source at a time, but you can make a bunch of sources if you like, but we only need one. Inside the init function, I'm going to override the init function. Down here I'll put the body, sound environment, :init, void, empty braces. Inside the braces I'm going to initialize the sound object. I'm going to type this line slowly so I can explain each part. We'll start with bank. Bank is a member of sprite environment. When I say bank, think asset bank or resource bank. This is for loading resources from a file, and it has a function init sound with path. It takes two arguments. The first is a pointer to the sound object, and the second is a path. Now for this, we're going to need a sound file. I'm going to copy a wave file from the examples directory, harmonica.wav. Here I'm going to put a path to that file, harmonica.wav. Now we need to set the source of the sound, so sound.source equals &source. That ought to be enough to initialize. Now to play the sound, I'm going to override the mouse down function of the environment. That's bool mouse down const vec2 reference c. That's the location of the click. Down here I'll put the implementation, so bool sound environment mouse down const vec2 reference c, and then inside the body of that function I'm going to just call sound.play and return true. That ought to be enough to play our sound. Let's just make and run to make sure. /sound. There's our window, and when we click, that's how you get started making sound effects in our library. If you go to toocomplex.com, you can download our library, you can find out more about how these classes work, you can watch more videos like this one that'll help you get started making your game. Thanks for watching.